But what about talent?
Talent? I don't believe in talent. Well, some people, they have talent. It's good. It helps when you have talent. As long as you have a lot of determination and willpower, that's all you need. And you have to have the will to win.
Talent versus hard work. I made a video talking about this, about why talent beats hard work. And some people weren't happy with that video. Some people understood what I was saying. So I just want to explain that a bit deeper, because I believe it's a bit of tough love that would help people out. It would help me out as well, right? I'm speaking to many me too, right? But I want to start off, before even saying this, I want to say, I'm not saying not to focus on your passions, by the way. By all means, do what you're passionate about. Even if you happen to not be talented, even if whatever, right? Focus on whatever you're happy to do, whatever makes you fulfilled. Not happy, whatever makes you fulfilled, right? However, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be number one in whatever that field is. Do you understand what I'm saying, right? So when I spoke about talent being hard work, what I'm saying is, if talent works hard, hard work is screwed, basically, right? Like, hard work is calm as long as the talent doesn't work hard. But if talent works hard, hard work is screwed. Now, of course, a lot of the time, talented people have a mindset, a kind of entitlement, like, I don't really need to work hard and whatever, and therefore hard work is able to beat them. But most of the time, the highest level, highest of the best are extremely talented. And this is mainly based off measurement sports in general, right? And of course in fields, like when it comes to studies. But as I said, it doesn't necessarily matter, because not everywhere in life, you don't need to be the number one doctor in the world, do you? You don't need to be the number one physician in the world, right? So it doesn't apply to absolutely everything. But most of the people who follow me are following me based off sports. So that's what I'm talking to you guys about, all right? When it comes to talent, right? Mike Tyson himself said he didn't believe in talent, didn't believe he himself was talented. That is completely inaccurate, because Cus D'Amato himself was enthusiastic about Mike Tyson being able to become champion because of the fact that he had tremendous power in both hands. Of course, he said the most important thing was that he had the will to win, but it was also because he had tremendous power in both hands, right? And that served him when he wasn't training as hard. Although, yes, he had muscle memory from training with Cus D'Amato as a kid and with Kevin Rooney as a kid, but the reality is there was a lot of fights when he completely abandoned his training. When he wasn't bobbing and weaving, he was just walking forwards and throwing shots. When he had his fight with Francois Botha, I don't know how you pronounce his first name well, but Francois Botha, right, from South Africa. When he had that fight, he was losing the fight on the scorecards. He wasn't fighting well. He wasn't boxing well, but he was able to knock him out. So then he won the fight, right? It was his talent that was able to get him there when he wasn't working hard. So I'm simply making that point. Now, this doesn't mean you should be discouraged, right? Or you can, of course, work on your weaknesses, but all I want to bring your attention to is, rather than work on your weaknesses, why not work really hard on your strengths? Why focus on what you're weak at? Why not focus on what you're strong at? Steph Curry, right? He's not the most physical basketball player, right? He's not busy throwing out dunks. I don't even watch much basketball, but I know that, right? But instead of focusing on being that imposing physical guy, instead of trying to be Shaquille O'Neal or LeBron James or Giannis Antetokounmpo, he decides to be the best shooter, right? That's what he prioritizes. I don't even watch much basketball, but I still know Steph Curry based off his shot. You understand what I'm saying? Michael Jackson wasn't the best rapper of his time. He wasn't the best boxer of his time. He was the best singer of his time. Right, or the best pop star. Why? Because he had a talent for that. That's all I'm saying. He had a strength in that regard. He prioritized what he was strong at rather than what he was weak at. Because if you focus on what you're weak at, you're only going to be subpar, a poor imitation. But if you focus on your strengths, you're going to be the best version of that, is all I'm saying, right? Most of the time, if you have people like Daniel Cormier training extremely hard. Maybe he wasn't dieting hard, but he was training extremely hard. People like John Jones getting blackout drunk, right, before the fight, getting stoned, all that before the fight, right? Fair dues, he was cheating, but the reality and the cheating was a form of talent, right? It aided him like talent, and he would beat him both times, right? My point is, talent most of the time, even with John Jones, he's actually challenged in some realms, right? He isn't the strongest guy. He isn't the most powerful guy. Even Daniel Cormier said that his hands kind of felt like pillows. He didn't say that, but basically he wasn't the hardest puncher, but he is vertically talented. He has a lot of reach. For me, in boxing, right, I'm vertically challenged. I'm 5'9". The people I'm going up against are 6'2", 6'4", 6'5". There was one guy I sparred in some gym. He was the tallest man I ever seen, right? I'll put it that way. If I tried to be the slickest outboxer, kind of like a Floyd Mayweather, right, but in my weight class, I wouldn't succeed because I'm not I don't have the longest reach. So rather than be a subpar outboxer, why not focus on being an infighter? Why not use my strengths, that I'm really strong and I'm really powerful? Why not use those strengths rather than focus my whole time on my weaknesses? When it comes to sports, there's different forms of talent, right? Especially when it comes to boxing. I'm referring to like boxing, right? Or fighting in general. You can be talented when it comes to power. You can be talented when it comes to strength. You can be talented when it comes to your chin, right? Not being knockoutable, not being easily knocked out. You can be talented vertically in reach, right? You can be talented when it comes to stamina. So I'm not saying, oh, you lack one thing, you don't have stamina, give up. I'm saying focus on your strengths. Still work on your weaknesses, but focus on your strengths, okay? That's going to help you get there. The reason Johan Blake, right? I don't know if you watched sprinting or if you care about track. Johan Blake was my favorite sprinter growing up. He was never beating Usain Bolt. It's not because he didn't train as hard as Usain Bolt. People would even argue that he did train harder than Usain Bolt. The reason he couldn't beat him was there was a talent gap. Now, both of these are extremely talented. Johan Blake's the second fastest man in history, so there's obviously talent there. But the difference in that highest level was who was more gifted genetically. That was it. That was the difference. In that highest level, it was who was more gifted genetically. It wasn't who worked harder, what training sessions or whatever. It was who was more gifted. Dragon Ball is fiction, but I mean, Goku keeps on beating Vegeta, even though Vegeta works harder than Goku, right? Because who is more gifted? So I'm just saying that you need to focus on your strengths. We've been lied to a lot. That's why I'm passionate about this message and putting this message out there, right? We've been lied to a lot. So we have like movies like Kung Fu Panda, one of the worst movies ever created, right? A movie where basically they lie to you and tell you can achieve anything. Oh, don't worry. You can achieve anything you put your mind to as long as you believe in yourself. That's bullshit. Right? For some reason, Tai Lung, the most talented fighter of all of China, right? He's a panther, right? He trains hard as heck since a kid, since an infant, right? Trained super hard under Shifu, Master Shifu and Master Oogway. Trained so hard he was held in prison and beat a bunch of men to get out of prison. And guess who beats him? A big fat panda, right? Because he looked into a mirror and was like, wow, there is no secret ingredient. It's me. I'm the secret ingredient. It's what I have inside me. What kind of bullshit is that? A guy who was making noodles his whole life beats an insanely... Listen, that's literally like having, no disrespect to Gordon Ramsay. Imagine Gordon Ramsay merged with Lizzo, right? And was able to beat John Jones in a fight because... Lizzo Ramsey believed in themselves. Imagine that. That's some old bullshit. And that's what we've been taught for so long. We've been taught these stupid lies. And I'm just wanting to save you a bunch of heartache in the future by telling you to focus on your strengths. That's it. When it comes to passions, by all means. And you can also go things that you are weak in for a career path as well. But just know that, because for one, you don't need to be number one. I just want to make that clear. Mike Tyson was amazing. He wasn't the number one heavyweight of all time. Right? But I am just saying, you would save yourself a lot of heartache and frustration by put your amazing hard work into something that you are good at, something that you're blessed in, right? So we all have something. Not everyone actually. There's some people who don't have anything, but most of the time we all have something, right? So focus on that. Now, of course, your genetics are probably a lot better than you think they are. I even made a video about that, right? Your genetics are a lot better than you might think. That's why you're drawn to a sport in particular, for example. That's why you might be athletic. A lot of my viewers are into sports. This video is mainly referring to sports, right? The reason you were drawn to it is because you're athletic. Most of the unathletic people in school were not drawn to sport, right? So you probably do have good genetics and you're probably talented in that regard. But I just want to make that clear so you're not wasting your time. Don't be Muhammad Ali trying to box as though you're George Foreman. He wasn't talented in that regard. He boxed like Muhammad Ali. Don't be Joe Frazier, who wasn't as good at speaking, right? He wasn't as charismatic, trying to talk like Muhammad Ali. Use your hands to talk. That's all I'm saying. Work your strengths. Otherwise, you might end up being so frustrated because you're not beating the next guy. You're training so hard. You're focusing so much. Like, how many people were frustrated that they could just never beat Ronnie Coleman? Talent, man. I'm telling you. Of course, he trained hard, but you get to a point where everyone trains hard. You can say, oh, also steroids. At that point, I'm going to be honest. There's a lot. I'm not even going to let me not share my opinion on this. I might do it on another video where I talk about steroids and like world-class sports where it's tested like 100 meters and stuff like that. But not on this video. But yeah, I just wanted to make that clear. So focus on your strengths. But either way, do something that makes you fulfilled. Either way, you don't have to be number one. It's okay if you are trying to be number one. I mean, I did forget there's actually another talent in boxing as well, which is aggression. Something I also like. I'm vertically challenged when it comes to boxing, and I'm sort of aggression challenged to a degree, I guess, and stamina. I've got a lot of drawbacks, but I also have a lot of strong points. All right, so I focus on my strengths, and I recommend you do the same. Apply that to your own life. I just use sport to speak about it because most of my audience is based off sport, and I'm boxing, I'm involved in sport, but apply that to your own life how you will. All right, it's B4Flex, and I'm out.